Hey, what's up, students? I'm here with Brian again, and
Hey, guys.
Brian came for those of you who don't know, he came and he gave the talk on last Sunday, and he kind of opened up our series on Will You Be My Valentine? And so I just wanted to kind of do a recap with Brian, kind of reintroduce him to you guys, and just kind of talk about, just kind of extend the discussion of what some of the stuff he talks about, because I know a lot of you guys came and asked me questions, and it just spurred off a lot of good conversation. So for those of you who missed it, you're going to be able to get a short recap right now of Brian. So Brian, just kind of in 45 seconds, just let the students know, or just remind them just who you are, and also just kind of what it was you talked about.
Yeah, sure. Well, like you said, my name is Brian Shapleigh. I've been in Austin for about 2.5 years. I go to Gateway Church, which is where you used to work at, and I kind of do some video production on the side and kind of have a daytime job while I'm getting the business started. So that's just a little bit about me, but, kind of what I got to talk about was really awesome, and it was a great opportunity for me to actually speak to the kids, and so I just want to thank you guys again for giving me that opportunity. In terms of what we talked about, basically, we all have this desire in us for a relationship. And that relationship, that desire, is not a bad thing, but what can happen as we start to see our friends with boyfriends and girlfriends, we can start to have that desire really almost start to take control and be at the center of our hearts. Mm-hmm. The problem with that is that we start to look at that to give us fulfillment, to give us that, to answer that question, am I loved, am I desirable, am I worthy? And so what we think, putting at the center of our hearts, we think that's going to satisfy us. In the end, it actually doesn't satisfy us. Mm-hmm. It leaves us broken and breaks our relationships as well.
So kind of, a few days have passed, and the students have been able to think about mm-hmm. what it was you talked about. I'm just kind of curious, just kind of for you, has God kind of revealed some new insight to you, or just maybe something that the students didn't hear, or maybe he just really kind of reaffirmed something that you did say in these last few days?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think if I had to point to just the one point that I'd really like everyone to kind of get that rooted in them, is that these desires are not bad, but when you look at them to get satisfaction, to answer that question of am I worthy, am I lovable, am I desirable, am I accepted, mm-hmm. it will leave you unsatisfied, because no human being, no relationship, no amount of pleasure, sex, money, power, whatever you name it, that's never going to satisfy. And ultimately what we want to do, and what I try to do, and what God's affirmed through me mm-hmm. through the last couple of days, is that I just need to focus my relationship on Him. The greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And so I'm really trying to strive for that, because God's the only one that's going to be able to actually fulfill me, that's actually going to be able to tell me, Brian, I love you, you're accepted, you're desirable, and I don't have to do anything for it. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to look to a girl to tell me, oh, hey, yes, tell me that I'm accepted and worthy. I get that from God first and foremost, and that allows me to live my life. And so, I think if there's that one point that I really would like to reaffirm to all the students, and just for myself, it would be that.
Mm-hmm. In your talk, Brian said this really great point, it's kind of stuck in my head, was just in life, particularly with relationships, even like you come to a fork in the road, mm-hmm. and one pathway goes, and you said one pathway goes, and you can do what kind of the world does, and do what society says, what all the things we see on TV and internet, do it this way. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then the other part in the fork is, okay, here's what God has planned for you. And of course, like with our students, that's where the tension is. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you could just say to encourage them to just and how to work through that struggle? Because I know it's easier said than done to mm-hmm. just be like, well, I'm just going to go on God's path, because it's just totally easy to give up the other thing.
Sure. Yeah, I think the key is that we don't neglect relationships. They have their right spot, but I think in order mm-hmm. to be encouraged as we continue to try and grow into the man or woman that God wants us to be, is that get around a community of people, get around like-minded people that are your friends, that have the same sort of values and ambitions for God's plan on their life. Mm-hmm. Get with those people, connect with those people, because if those people have the same goals, and same ambitions and want to develop the type of character and are willing to wait for God to develop that in them, you'll be mutually encouraged because you'll be focused on the same end result, which is just growing to the point where you want God to be, you to be in God's eyes before He can actually bless you with that awesome relationship.
So, just in closing, anything else, if you could say, for some of you, Brian, I didn't mention this at the beginning of the video, but I mean, Brian has pretty much any type of fun thing you could imagine out there. Brian has done in his life the things that have been good for him or for bad for him. I mean, he's pretty much done it all, and God's kind of brought him to this point. But I guess, Brian, like, what's one just kind of thing you can leave with our students? Kind of what's the one last thing you want them to kind of leave with from this talk?
And that's a hard question. I mean, I would say that based on what God's done in my relationships, whether they've been godly or not, I would say that just wait, because He's got something so much better than you can ever imagine that it will be worth the wait. So continue just to endure, continue to press through the fact that you're gonna feel alone, and that's okay. Get with that community of people, be encouraged by them in their walks, and just don't ever give up, because God's way is always the best way. He'll always bless you beyond anything that you could actually realize. And so if you wait now, you will be very much blessed later.
And if the kids want to contact you or ask you questions about this, do you have a website? Do you have a Facebook or something just for all your ministry stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have something specifically designed for like ministry requests or anything like that, prayer requests, but for sure you guys can look me up on Facebook. It's Brian Shapleigh, Facebook page. Probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. And love to connect with you guys if you have any questions.
Great. Again, we're just really thankful for Brian to come out and give his talk, and also just to be able to share his experience. So we really appreciate that. So if you guys have any questions, just you know where to find Brian. You can always ask me. But we hope that this series will serve you guys well. We'll see you guys soon.